So welcome to the first ever episode of the Behind the Touchline podcast. My name is George. I'm a new aspiring agent, and with me I have Takumi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that's right.
Here I have Takumi with me. He's an agent with A&V Sports. Did I pronounce that right too?
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. So a pleasure having you on. I know it's kind of been complicated with the technology nowadays, but hey man, thanks for being on today.
No problem. It's a pleasure. And I didn't know that I was the first ever guest, so I'm honored.
Yeah. So I've been trying to, messaging people around the industry and stuff. So that not just want to have agents on, but also want to have, people from all over, coaches, scouts, you name it. It could be people that cook for the players. It can be anyone, I just want to really bring a new perspective into the sport because I don't see it now in the current moment. So, just want to, meet new people and, have interesting stories that they have to share.
No problem at all. It's a pleasure. It's amazing to see that you are trying to launch a new business as agent. So anywhere I can help, I will do it.
Yeah, for sure. So I was looking at your background. I saw it on the agency website. You actually have you're Japanese and French, correct?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Paris, in France, of course, and but my mom is Japanese, and so I actually played in Japan I think when I was 15 or 16 in a J League club academy.
Okay.
And then I went back to France, and then when I was 19, I came in America to play college soccer.
That's awesome. So do you come over through a scholarship, was it?
Yeah, so I was actually just playing with my under 19 team in France, and someone came to talk to us and offered to come in America, just explain the system to study and play soccer on the side, and having soccer financing the school, I guess. And the time in France, I didn't have much. I wasn't playing. I would never play for PSG or something. I knew it, and even school-wise, I was a bit. I was really confused about what to do after high school. So when the guy came, I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's try. And worst case, I would just learn English and come back home. So.
That's awesome, man. What was that transition like for you coming to the US? Was it overwhelming for you at first, or what was that experience like?
Honestly, I was really happy. From day one, I knew it was the place for me to be. Playing soccer and studying, the weather was nice. It's all I ever wanted. So I was really happy, and, I made friends right away. Luckily, there was a couple of French people in the team that I joined. And the team was full of internationals as well. So I still had this feel of, back home in America. So it was fine. And soccer was fun as well. So everything worked out.
No, for sure. And how have you seen that evolve? So do you see a lot more international players coming over here through scholarships to play college in the US?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a trend, not even a trend now, because it's something that's, conventional almost around the world. Because, when you are in an academy, no matter where in the world, in a team of 20 players, for example, maybe one or two will make it to the pro team, and the rest will end up playing in, third, fourth, fifth, sixth division in their country, and, trying to work on the side, and with the hope to get back to maybe make it to the pro level one day. And, someone call you one day, offer you to come in America, and you can get a degree that's recognized all over the world and play at a good level, and maybe get drafted to the MLS or sign in USL. It's a great project. So I think there's more and more players that are going to come for sure. It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And so how do you view the college level right now? Because I know there's a lot of discrepancies where, players don't know whether they should go to college or to go play, in a D1 school, D2, D3, you have that route. And you also have the route, semi-pro, and then you have, the pro USL 1. USL Championship, and of course MLS here in the US. So how do you kind of view, the college level versus, let's say, those lower leagues even?
Well, I think first the college soccer is very different on the men's and women's side. On the men's side, when you compare it on the global scale of soccer, when you compare to like the European top leagues or the MLS and all that, the level is obviously very low if you compare to that. When on the women's side, those top teams like Stanford or UNC, they could probably compete in in French D1 or good European leagues. So that's the first difference. And to answer your question, I think the college system it's great, and but the thing is that you only play 4 months a year if your team make it all the way to the national. And on top of that, you play 2 months and a half in the summer in PDL or USL2 now. And so it could be good for short-term development. Like maybe if you mentioned like Jack Harrison, he did one
Right.
semester at Wake Forest, and I'm sure he improved a lot. And some other players, it's good to see 1 year or 2 year, but 4 years in college from 18 to 22, I feel like it might not be easy.
Right. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely agree with you there. And then so going back to what we were talking about, you obviously played in college. I assumed you even played for your 4 years. So how did your road to becoming an agent come to be?
Well, so I was in my junior year, and I was at UNLV, the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, and I could, I think from day one I quickly realized that getting in the MLS would be hard for me. That I will not be the number one pick of the draft going to
Right.
LA Galaxy like everyone dream. So from that moment, I decided. I always knew that I wanted to work in soccer. That's one thing that was sure. Um, I could not be a professional player. I don't like coaching. So the last thing is wait, is it lagging? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you good. I can hear you good.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, I could not be a pro player. I could not be a coach. So the last thing was to work on the business side of soccer, and luckily, I had a good connection with the people who are my bosses now. Who helped me to find a new school and all that. And that was right when they started on the pro side of the agency. So we got in touch, we discussed, and I guess I joined the adventure. So that was 4 years ago almost, and so I was still in school, so I was balancing school, soccer, and being an agent as well. So I think I did my first deal at 21. It was two women's player from PSG to Fiorentina in Italy. So that was fun, and I think it wasn't necessarily meant to be an agent, but it came naturally. It was my way to stay involved in soccer.
No, for sure, and then that's a great point that you make, because I think that's why a lot of people, like, when they come into whether they want to become a scout eventually or an agent, it's the matter that they want to stay in touch with the sport, right? It's this passion for the sport, because like you've told me before, you're probably not going to see money, especially when you're starting out within the first few years. It's not realistic, right? So you have to have a passion for the sport and definitely want to be involved in some capacity other than just simply, oh, let me make money, like you see the super agents make, or you see Ronaldo's agent, etc., making millions of dollars. And you're like, oh, I want to be that, but that's not really a realistic approach, right?
For sure. I mean, those guys, the one that you are mentioning, the super agent, they've been around for decades, literally. So yeah, it's probably not realistic for someone to expect making money from day one as agent. Luckily, I was still in college. I had my soccer scholarship, so I wasn't necessarily counting on the agent job to support myself for the first few months or the first year or so. And I think we were able to develop the agency well. And I was able to make it a full time by the time I graduated with my bachelor. So yeah, that's kind of the story of my agent.
No, that's a great story. And again, everyone has their own path and their own story. So again, this is awesome, getting different perspectives from you. And now going back to like you mentioned women's soccer, when you did a comparison rather between the men's and women's side. How have you seen, well, first of all, let me ask, how is the women's side currently right now in the sport?
I think depend on the country. Obviously, in America, it's well developed. Young girls naturally play soccer. It's something very natural. And that's probably due to the Title IX back in the days that allowed equality between
Hmm.
gender and all that. In Europe, it's definitely getting better, and Europe, but also Asia. Japan, China, it's developing a lot. Japan is actually creating a women's pro league next year, and the women's soccer is, I guess, enjoying the overflow of money in men's soccer. And it's good to see, all the top clubs in Europe, the Chelsea's, Lyon, and all that, using a bit of the money made on the men's side, to support the women's team successfully, actually, for those clubs. And I think it's becoming more something normal for young girls to play soccer all around the world, and that's what women's soccer need. They need more players, more fans, more people involved in women's soccer since their young age. But I think it's on the right way. Obviously, it's probably never going to be on the same scale as men's soccer, but if it can eventually become sustainable on its own, just a business on its own, it will be good.
No, yeah, for sure. And not only that, but again, like you've seen just the marketing grow as well on the women's side. Like you see like all those, like I'm on Instagram a lot. So I see like a lot of Bleacher Report posts and stuff like that. You see them promoting a lot of the women's side, showing more highlights of women's games and clubs. Because to be honest with you, 10 years ago, that was non-existent, right? You didn't see any of that stuff being marketed, being shown on social media, none of it. But now you've seen that grown. We're getting to learn more about the women's side, not just from the club standpoint, from an individual standpoint. So I think that's very big, and being able to help the women's game grow, 5-10 years from now even.
I definitely agree. I think clubs need to invest, and they are doing it. And but it's also brand, and newspaper, media's, just to spread awareness. And for example, you see the goal last time they released the ranking, the 25 best men's player, but they also put the women's player, so that's part of spreading awareness. Hey, there is those players, there is those individuals who are also professional players at a high level, and we need to talk about them. And I think it's like you said, 10 years ago it wasn't the case. Now it's the case. It's probably going to be even more the case in 10 years, and it's going to become something normal over the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we all hope, right? Especially on the agency side as well. So what's it like? So have you worked with men's, or do you primarily focus on the women's side of the, when dealing with football players?
We started. I think our first deal was a women's player, and we were able to get the women's Ballon d'Or, the first ever women's Ballon d'Or in 2018. So obviously, women's has been a real focus for us. First because we enjoy it, because we want to support the women's player, and they really need people to protect their interest, because they don't make multi-millions like men's player, and they really need someone to back them up during the negotiation. But of course, I played men's soccer,
Mhm.
so of course I happen to be involved in many deals in men's soccer. So as agency, yeah, for now, priority, our focus has been on women's soccer, but we are always open to the good business as well on all sides of soccer.
Yeah, for sure. You have to keep it open minded. And again, that was cool too. Another thing, because I really haven't seen like I was on your, on your agency's website and then an Instagram even, you just see it promoting a lot of women's. So again, that's really good for that women's side of the game because you're seeing that it's actually growing and having an impact. Again, monetary as well, right? The value of their prices are going up, which means more money for everyone involved.
Yeah, yeah, I think the industry is changing. Clubs are able to offer big salaries in Europe and even now in NWSL. So I think it's good for everyone, and we are really happy to be a small part of the development of women's soccer around the world.
Yeah, and then so is there any difference between like let's say scouting a women's game or a particular player versus scouting a man in a particular game, or is it sort of the same thing?
Not at all. I mean, soccer is soccer, soccer is soccer. If a club tell you that they need this sort of player, let's say, athletic player who's good at winning headers. I mean, you can watch a men's or women's player. It's the same thing. You are looking for the same profile. Obviously, there's difference between men's and women's soccer. Men's soccer is much more athletic and that's much more quick and all that. But when you scout a player, at the end you're just looking for a good player for the level, and yeah, that's what we look for. And, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with you there. It's the same. It should be the same. I also wanted to ask you, like, if you have any stories you'd like to share as far as, any struggles you've had, with being agent, like, oh, for example, with dealing with a club, you had a very bad experience, or maybe even a positive experience, like, it could be like whether, it could be you had a bad transfer one time or something, a deal didn't go through, someone did you dirty. It could be anything along the lines there, anything that you want to share.
Well, what's good in this job is that every day I wake up and I'm wondering what's gonna happen during the day, because there is always a story. I guess on the positive, it's all the signing that we've done. But probably my first deal in Fiorentina was amazing because I was able to travel there. I was back home in France for the summer on a school break, and brought two players, from France to there, and the first time you are impressed, they come pick you up at the airport, you the stadium to the office and all that. So I mean, you never forget it. It was good, and the players actually did well because they played in Champions League, and it was rewarding to see them, I guess, change their life somehow. And so that was very positive, and obviously there is some deals. The draft is always fun to be at the draft, especially I think the last 2 years we had I think three of the top five pick or something like that each year. So they were a good draft for us as well, and it's amazing to be there to see the moment where your player literally turned pro at that moment. And especially, some of them were not expecting, like Jordan DiBiase. She's a player who was at Stanford, and she wasn't expecting to be drafted high, and she ended up being drafted the number 3 pick.
Wow.
And and now she plays for the Washington Spirit. She's been called up with the US national team. So it's so nice to see the journey, because when we get in touch with them first, they just finished their college career. They are a bit unsure about what's ahead, and you look back a couple of years later, and you're like, yeah, we did a good job so far, and it's fun. So I guess it's always amazing to help players and see them succeed.
No, that's amazing, Takumi. And again, like I've heard that from a lot of people I've talked to as well. That are agents or have been an agent for a while. They said like the most common response I've gotten is that their favorite part of it is seeing that journey, right? So especially for new agents too, right? You're literally growing with the players, right? You're
Yeah.
following through the career, and then you're growing as well. So that's definitely something I definitely look forward to in the future. Trying to help as many people as I can and helping them grow as well. I think that's very, very rewarding at the end.
Totally agree, and I think that's it's good that you do a podcast like that because hopefully it can change the perception of agent, because we always have this image of bad guys who are greedy for money and all that, but it's probably the case for some agent. I'm not saying it's not, but I think most of agent, they, it's a passion for them. They want to help players, and obviously, if money comes, it's always important. Obviously that's what paying our bills, and that's
Right.
what that's our daily job. So there is always the money component, but moreover, I would probably not do that just for the money. It's good to see the players grow, and like you said, we help the player grow, but they help us grow as well. And there's some players who were with us 4 years ago, kind of when we started, and 4 years later we are in a good position in the industry, and they're still with us, and they grew as well. And it's always good to look back and see the journey.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you there. And it's funny that you mentioned about the reputation of agents, right? Because I see that a lot through social media, through everything. Oh, agents are always taking all the money, all they want is the greed and money. But again, like you said, that's probably just maybe those top people or maybe other people as well that, are just in it for the money or make us seem greedy. But in reality, that's not the case. Because again, and I think that's where we get into trouble too, because there could be young agents that don't understand that, hey, listen, it's not just about the money. And then they don't have another job, so they're trying to make ends meet. So they try to scam people with this and that.
Yeah.
I think honestly that's where a lot of people get into trouble, because you have to understand that you might have to have another job and not quit your job and just start trying to sign players and make transactions happen. It's not the way it works.
For sure. I mean, when you're agent, you don't have anyone paying you a monthly salary. I mean, if you don't bring any money, you don't have you can't pay your bills. So it's important to know that it's a tough business. A lot of people are trying to get in and give up after a year or two, just because they haven't been able to succeed. But if you really like it, you should be able to make it work, and nothing forces anyone to be a full-time agent from day one. Like you said, you can have a day job, but that allows you some flexibility, and you use your free time to, instead of playing PlayStation, you can try to to develop your business as agent on the side. And yeah, to get back on what you're saying, some people are trying to scam players. That's what it is in everywhere. There's good and bad people, and the media tend to just report the one bad story within the 100 good stories. And talking about the big agent who make multi-millions, that's their job. They don't do anything not legal. They get the commission on the contract they negotiate, and the reason they are able to get that is because their players get even more money on the contract they negotiate. So if an agent gets good money, it means he did a good job because he negotiated a good contract.
No, that's exactly right. At the end of the day, it's not the agent's fault that the club's willing to pay that money, right? It's not at all. So again, just like you said, all our reputations should not be tarnished. We are good people for the most part.
Yeah, we try to, we try to, and obviously there's, I've seen some bad agent. It's just the way it is, and it's not specific to soccer. It's just that soccer, it's a very the media love to talk about soccer. You see soccer everywhere. Everyone talked about it. So it's just on a bigger scale when there is a bad story. But I'm sure you can go to the grocery store of the neighborhood, and you probably hear some bad employees. It's like everything. So
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Do you have any future goals, aspirations, aside from what you're doing now? Like, what's your end game here?
uh, just enjoying the job, having fun every day. The most important is to be happy to wake up in the morning, be happy with your job. And then so far we are, obviously we want the agency to keep growing, keep developing, helping more players, be able to work with, keep working, I guess, with the best athlete in the world. And I think we'll be happy if in 10 years, the women's industry grew, that we grew as well, our players grew, and I guess that's the job, just enjoying life every day. That's the most important.
No, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. There's so much, especially this year. What a year it was, right? And just trying to really, enjoy and be grateful for what we have now, and enjoy those moments and enjoy the journey. I think it's very important, especially what we went through. Well, a lot of people went through this year.
Totally, I think a year like that makes us realize that we are really lucky to do the job that we do, just because obviously clubs have been affected, but we are still able to work. Players still need to sign new contract, to transfer teams and all that. So, for the world, it's been a bit of an unconventional year, but we've been able to work, and I know a lot of friends and others in different industries who lost their job, who are struggling now. So I guess a year like now just makes you realize, give you a bit of reality check on what's the priorities in life. And it's tough for everyone, but, just trying to deal with it. And I guess we are really fortunate that our industry has been affected, but not enough for us to stop working.
No, I completely agree, Takumi. You hit it right on the head there. That's exactly right. Just being grateful, being grateful to be able to work and pursue whatever you want to pursue. And then hopefully things come back to normal soon, right? That's the hope for across every industry, just not, the sports, because in the sports industry, everyone's been hit very hard. But, hopefully we're able to see, full capacity again and get things back on track.
Totally agree. I hope so. I heard that they found a vaccine, so maybe it's for soon. Who knows? Soccer there will always be soccer. That's the good thing. Soccer is too loved in the world to ever stop. So, happy to watch some soccer every day. And I really hope it gets back to normal, because where it affects us, to jump on another topic, is that we are not really able to travel everywhere. Yeah. So it's a bit harder, to, for example, you want to sign a new player, you can't fly there to meet in person. So it's affecting us as well, and you can't go meet clubs, watch games, and that's what we enjoy, So hopefully it gets back to normal.
Yeah, for sure. And I do have one more question for you. It's kind of off topic, but what would you say is the most embarrassing song you have on your playlist?
The most embarrassing song?
Sorry to put you on the spot. I just want to make it a little fun, I think
it's a Barbie Girl.
What was it called?
Barbie Girl.
Oh, Barbie Girl. All right. Yeah.
Oh, I have it since I'm young. It's a cool song to listen sometimes.
No, it is. It's very catchy. I agree with you. It's definitely a catchy song.
You're in your car. It's in the summer. It's a good song.
Hey, well, Takumi, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you coming on. You're my first guest, so I know this is a little last minute, but again, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you coming on. It was great to speak to you. And then I don't know if you have any last thoughts, and you can say anything you want.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, and I know that you are starting out in the business, and don't give up. And like I said, it should be a passion, and if you really believe in what you're doing, if you really love it, and you are not giving up, eventually it's gonna pay off. It can take a month, it can take a year, it can take 2 or 3 years, but if you do a good job and you work hard on a daily basis, it would probably be some good thing will happen at the end.
Chris.
So, all right, thank you very much.